Welcome to a Faithful God podcast. I'm your host, Tammy Rotzel, and today on the show, Footprints of Inspiration community member Joanne is joining me as she shares her journey of walking through a brain tumor and what it was like for her to learn how to lean into God and lean on the people who God has placed in her life to help her through this. So often we feel like we have to be so stoic and go through these things in our life on our own, when in reality, God actually put people in our lives to help us through. So grab those earbuds and your favorite beverage and join me for my conversation with Joanne. Hi, Joanne. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Good afternoon, Tammy. How are you?
I am good. So I always like to start the show by letting our listeners know how you and I met. And so this is kind of a funny story. So you joined a challenge. So I had that Jumpstart challenge back in February. And we did that for 5 days, and you joined the challenge, and you and I got to know each other, just through that, because each and every morning we would start the morning off with the challenge and everything. And what was so funny in this was we found out there were so many things that you and I had in common. And I can't remember what all of them were. I know one of them that you're an Enneagram 7 also, correct?
Yes, correct.
And then did we talk about fear archetypes also? Is that what we talked about?
I think so. It just turned out a lot of things we talked about were like, wow, that is exactly me.
It was so funny. And my mom was in the challenge with us. So it was fun for her to see just the things that you and I had in common and stuff. We said we were like sisters from another mother, right? I mean, here we are. You're again, where are you again?
I live in Sarnia, Ontario, Canada.
Okay, that's what I thought.
When I was talking to you, I was in Toronto.
Oh, right.
With the wonderful view.
That's right. I do remember you saying that so where is that? Did you tell me it was like 2 hours from where you actually live? Is that right?
Yeah, it's about 2.5 hours away.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if you will, and we're going to talk about that and the reason you were in Toronto, we're going to talk about all of that. But before we get started, or before we really get into questions and stuff, if you will, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, and then we'll hop on in, whatever you want to share with us.
Well, thank you, Tammy. My name's Joanne, as I mentioned, and I'm a regular Joe Blow. I'm not one. I've seen a lot of your podcasts, and you have a lot of people on who have big ministries and such, and that's awesome. But that's not me. I'm just a regular person. I'm a nurse, and I work also as a PSW in home care. So I like to help people. I've always helped people, so I figured I might as well get paid for it for once.
Absolutely. And you're not a regular Joe Blow, because you shine for God. You just shine for Jesus in everything you do. And that is our ultimate calling. So you are not a regular Joe Blow. And I know you're going to be able to offer just a lot of encouragement for our listeners and such. So if you will, you've been through some incredibly difficult things, and I don't even know how long this has been going on for, although you may have shared that and I don't remember. My memory is really horrible. But if you will, kind of, and start wherever you want, but if you will, share a little bit of your journey and what you were going through and why you actually wound up down in Toronto.
So I was in my second year, just starting my second year of nursing school, and I got a headache. Well, no big deal. I've had headaches my whole life. It wasn't bad. It was maybe a 1 or 2, but it didn't go away. Mm-hmm. And I tried everything and nothing took the pain away. No Tylenol, aspirin, nothing took it away. And as time went on, it was there, always there. And eventually, it was getting worse. And eventually a teacher canceled the class, because when you're in nursing school, you have no time for anything.
Yeah.
So she canceled the class, and I said, I've had enough of this. And I went to emerge, dressed in my school scrubs and everything, all ready to go. And anyways, I went and they were going to give me an MRI. No, sorry, a CAT scan, but their machine was broke. And they said, our machine's supposed to be up at 1:30, so we can do it then. And I was like, I have a test at 1:30. I can't miss this test. I'll check back. They gave me an anti-inflammatory, and it took the headache away for about an hour and a half. And this is an IV push one, so it was a pretty potent painkiller. So I went, I wrote my test, and I had let a friend know what was going on so that if I wasn't there, she could tell the teacher. I made it in time, and as I'm writing my test, the teacher comes over to me and says, "Are you okay?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I'll be okay. I'll just push through." I mean, that's what nursing students do, and that's how I was raised. You just keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
There's not options to just slack off and stuff. So I kept going. 2 weeks later, they called me in for a CAT scan. So, and the headache, that was 2 weeks later.
Okay.
So at this point in time, the headache had been going on for about 5 or 6 weeks straight. It wasn't super bad. Again, I said it was like a 1 or 2, so it wasn't horrible, but it was always there. And then after the CAT scan, I was erroneously told that I had an aneurysm, and if anything, any symptoms changed, to come back right away. The next day I was at work and I started to get nauseous. And so I said to my client, I said, "I'm not feeling well. I need to go to the hospital. Is it okay if I leave early?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I finished what I had to do there. I called my parents, said, "I'm going to emerge." And then I went, and my mom came in with me. And so they gave me another CT scan, and they said that I didn't have an aneurysm. From what it looked like that he saw was I had a meningioma. Now, for most people don't know what a meningioma is, it's a brain tumor. It's a brain tumor. It's not malignant. It's kind of like, very loosely, it's like a skin tag that grows into the brain from the lining of the brain.
Okay.
So this was 4 days before exams start in my my first semester of my second year of nursing. So the tumor is right between my eyes, between my temple, and like right there. So it had the possibility of affecting my vision, which is what their main concern was.
Can I stop you for just a quick moment?
Yeah.
So when you said you had it here and here, for those who are watching on YouTube and back here, does that mean you had, was that one tumor or was that multiple tumors?
It was one tumor, but because of our heads are 3D, it's kind of like, it's if you
I see what you're saying. Okay.
And right through there.
Okay.
That'll give you an idea. It's right by the pituitary at the back of the nasal passages.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you. Yeah.
So anyways, I was given some meds for the headaches, some nerve pain meds, and some narcotics, mild narcotics. And if I kept taking the meds, I was okay. If I missed a dose, the headache was right back.
Oh, okay.
So the headache, although I didn't feel it, it was still there. So I wrote my exams. I talked to my teachers, and they're like, "You don't have to do anything." I said, "I have no idea what next semester is going to look like.
Yeah.
I'm just going to write what I can." My grade point average was high enough that I just had to write the exams and I would pass the course.
Oh, good.
So the joys of being tedious during the semester. When things blow up, you're still okay.
Yeah, amen. That's right.
So I wrote my exams, and my average only went down 1%. So I was really thrilled with that.
Good for you. Yeah.
Then comes the long haul of finding a neurosurgeon. I went to one in London who said that these don't grow more than 1 to 2 millimeters in a year, and the headaches had nothing to do with it. As a nursing student, I had done a lot of research,
Right.
especially when it was right new, and every single major site that talked about meningioma said the number one side effect was a headache.
A headache. Yeah.
So I said to my nurse practitioner, I said, you know what? I'm not comfortable with this guy's thing. Can I get a second opinion? She goes, I'm not either. So it took a while before we found somebody who would see me.
Right.
And he was in Toronto.
Okay.
Now, an aside, this is another God thing.
Mm-hmm.
When I used to live in Oakville, which is just outside of Toronto, and my mom had breast cancer, so they sent me to a breast cancer screening clinic there.
Right.
So my name was already on the patient list when I needed to be seen by a doctor there.
Amazing.
So
Yeah.
I just totally see God's hand in that.
Yeah.
And that really blew me away.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked to the neurosurgeon there, and he was willing to do surgery. By the time 8 months had gone by, my tumor had grown from 1 centimeter to 2 centimeters. So it had doubled in size.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And the headaches were really bad, and I had fatigue. I didn't know until afterwards that fatigue was part of it. But all my classes were done at 2:30. I'd go home, I'd sit in my lazy boy, and I'd sleep for 2 or 3 hours.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So it was really difficult. I was living with my parents, so I was very blessed because they took care of me.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do a whole lot of anything, so they did a lot for me.
Yeah.
So then I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to write my nursing exam, which I wrote in September of that year. I graduated in June. September, I wrote my nursing exam and passed.
Amazing.
And then in December, I had surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because of the location, they went through my nose.
Right.
So I didn't have to have, my first thought was, my hair.
Sure.
Anybody with long hair would totally understand.
Yes.
So I didn't have to have anything shaved off or anything. They removed the tumor through my nose, and I had a spinal fluid leak. So I was in the hospital for 5 days, and I wasn't allowed to lay down.
What?
Because they had the spinal fluid level up to my shoulders. So there was no fluid in my brain so that the leak could heal.
Oh.
And if you want to know what a headache is, that would be a 10 out of 10. Even just moving your eyes from left to right was excruciating.
Oh my goodness.
And none of the pain meds touched it. Nothing did anything.
Oh my. So did they strap you to a table and you were upright?
No, I was in a hospital bed, and they had the feet down.
Okay.
And the back of the bed up. So I was basically sitting.
Okay.
But they had compression things on my legs, and I was stuck there. I couldn't move. It was not fun.
I can't even imagine. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So that happened, and I had an appointment with the first neurosurgeon I saw the following month.
Mm-hmm.
And I called him up to cancel the appointment. I said, I've had it removed. I won't be needing your services.
Right.
And he actually called me back, and he said, what's going on? I said, well, you told me this and this. You said it's not causing my headache, and it's not going to grow. I said, well, it doubled in size in 8 months, and since it's been removed, this was about 6 weeks later, I had halved my pain meds. I was on half of the pain meds that I was on before surgery. And the fatigue had disappeared.
Oh my gosh.
So I felt like a new person.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
So I went on with my life.
Mhm.
Things are going smoothly, no headaches. Well, minimal headaches because I always had them. So I didn't expect to never have one again.
Right.
And then in April of 2019, I had another MRI
And
because
was
they
that
keep
just
an eye on you.
okay? I was just going to ask if that was a routine. Okay.
Routine. For the first year or two, I had them every 6 months and then every year. But then when they found a regrowth,
Mhm.
I went back to every 6 months.
Okay.
And in December of last year, it
Mhm.
was decided that I would have radiation because now there were two small, very small tumors, and
Okay.
they didn't want it to affect my vision.
Right.
They're not going to go in and operate again unless it's affecting my vision
Mhm.
because the risks outweigh the benefits.
Okay.
So I agreed to radiation, and that's why I was in Toronto. So Toronto, 2021,
Mhm.
January of 2021, everything's closed.
Yeah. I was just like, all that is going through my head. Yeah.
The lodge that the hospital runs is also closed because of COVID. So they said, find a place to stay and we'll pay so much a night. So I found an Airbnb condo,
Mhm.
which was really, really sweet. It was a 1-bedroom condo, just big enough for me. It
Uh-huh.
was on the 41st floor, overlooking the Sky Dome, the CN Tower, Lake Ontario, and the airport. It
Oh my-
was beautiful view, and you could see for miles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a really nice treat. By
Mhm.
the time I got there, I was so tired because I kept working full time right up until I stopped. So
Mhm.
that's 35 hours a week approximately.
Yeah.
And my days in home care, you have split shifts. Every day is a split shift. So you work mornings and evenings.
Oh.
So I was beyond white.
You-
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I was there, it was a really nice treat because everything was closed. I couldn't go do anything.
Mhm.
I took the subway from my condo to the hospital, and then I'd walk home. It was about a good half hour, 3/4 of an hour walk.
Right.
And then I'd just sit there the rest of the time. And that's where you come in. I had actually met you at the self-care conference for women.
Yes.
And I recall seeing doing self-care with chronic illness, and that's what brought me to your page.
Yeah.
And so I listened to you, and then I went to your website and listened to a bunch of your podcasts and stuff, and I sent you an email saying, hey, please pray for me.
Mhm.
And you were a big part of my journey in Toronto. We did the 5-day one, but we also did the smoothie challenge with Chelsea the week before.
You're right. We did. That's right. We did.
So that was really neat. I felt really connected. I was very grateful to have the technology where it was, that although I was away from everybody, I
Mhm.
could still communicate with people, with you, with my family and my friends and my small group. So
Yeah.
it wasn't any different than if I was sitting at home
Yeah.
on the same media.
Yeah.
So it was a really nice break.
Good. Good. You
I
know,
had an MRI a couple of weeks ago, and there is no sign of any tumors.
that makes me so
So
happy. And because you and I
I'm
have been
still.
conversing, every few weeks, just to check
Mhm.
on each other and stuff since the challenge. And yeah, when you'd been telling me no headaches, no headaches, and then you had come back and said you had a headache, and I kind of imagine, and I want to talk about that too. But yeah, you shared that news with me, and I am just praising God and shouting from the rooftops. It just makes me so happy that that the tumor has. Now, I apologize. Did you say it went completely away or it hasn't grown? It did shrink with the radiation.
I was told it wouldn't shrink,
Okay.
but
Okay.
again, I've had MRIs in Toronto and in Sarnia. So in Sarnia, they didn't have the one with the 2 tumors on it.
Okay.
But they did not say anything about any tumors. So my nurse practitioner and I both agree that there's nothing there.
It's amazing.
So
Wow.
I am blown away.
Yeah,
But
that's incredible. That is incredible. Now, what is the, and you've probably told me this and I forget, but I know I want our listeners to know too, but what was the time frame, did you say, from the first, or from between surgery and the second tumor?
it was about 3 years before I started having the fatigue and the bad headaches again.
Okay. So, all right. So several different questions. So first and foremost, now, have you known God? Have you been a Christian all your life, or when did you, because I know you have a relationship with God. So tell me about that a little bit.
Well, I grew up in a Christian home, so to speak. My parents believed different things.
Okay.
So even as a young child, I had to make up my mind very early what I believe.
Yeah.
And I've always felt God's hand on my life. I don't know how else to explain it. I've always felt he's there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a relationship like I would like to have a relationship, but I've always had some kind of relationship.
Yeah.
Since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And it's grown. Still lots of room to grow more, but it's grown and he's been good.
Yeah. And I think that's the case with all of us. In fact, I was just talking to someone this morning that, we all are on this journey, and we all, no matter how close we are to God now, we still have room to grow. We all do. So that's just, I think that's the case for all of us. But so tell me, if you don't mind sharing with us, you have the surgery, you're going about your life, and then you start experiencing these symptoms again. Did you immediately think that I know what's going on, or how did you process and work through that?
Well, the very first slight tinge of a headache I had after, I'm like, oh no, it's back. Oh no. And I had to calm myself down.
Yeah.
And one thing that popped up on one of the Facebook memes was a saying. It said, no matter what the future holds, God is already there.
Yes.
And that just gave me peace. It's like, you know what? If I'm better and everything's awesome, God's there. If I'm not, God's still there. And you know what? This hasn't surprised him one bit. He knew this would be my journey. Not saying he's a masochist and wants me to suffer, but he knows what's put in front of me. He knows what I need to draw myself closer to him.
Yeah.
And he's gentle. At least with me, he's been very gentle. Yeah. I don't think Paul would agree with me when he got thrown off the horse that God was gentle, but he is for those of us who need it.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. Yes. When we actively disobey, there are consequences. There are. And and Paul and some of the things he did and stuff like that. But even in that's, I guess I need to be careful what I'm saying, because I'm not saying that, things that are beyond our control, that God still doesn't, he still teaches us a lot, even in those times. So sometimes, yes, things are tough. And as I've found, things are tough by no doing of our own, but God is still there in all of it. And that's why your love for God through all of this has just been such a beautiful example of God's glory and of obedience in walking through these incredibly difficult times. You know, so speak to the person right now who's listening that's thinking to themselves, yeah, but I have this going on and this is awful. This is hard. What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, but God is still there.
Yeah.
I had a client who was going through some very hard things. Her husband had just had a very difficult diagnosis.
Mhm.
She had a difficult diagnosis, and I knew she was a Christian. So I said, I said something to her, it'll be okay. And she said, how do you know? And I thought, well, I don't want to give a pat answer,
Right.
but what I told her and what I want to tell everybody else is God is with you.
Mhm.
No matter what happens, God will be there for you. He is there for you and he will carry you. What I've felt over the last, especially the second time around, is his peace. Everybody's up in arms because of COVID. You're going to Toronto. Oh no, you have to take the subway. What's going on? You're sick. You've got radiation. You're alone. Are you going to get sick? What's up? Well, we had a plan in place. My friends were ready to come at a drop of a hat if I needed it.
Mhm.
And God had given me a peace. I looked up the verse.
Oh, good.
It's John 14, verse 27.
Mhm.
And it says, peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. And so God gave me that peace. That's the only thing I can really say is what I felt.
Yeah.
At first, when I got my diagnosis the very first time, I was very anxious. I was concerned, and rightly so.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to tell anybody. I was like, no, don't say anything. And I thought, but if I don't tell anybody, how are they going to know to pray for me?
Yeah.
So I let my whole church know. I let my whole family know. Anybody who asked what was going on, I was willing to let them pray for me.
Mhm.
And that's why I reached out to you, because I wanted you to pray for me too. And it's been a blessing getting to know you a little bit and
Hasn't it?
communicating with you and seeing all the ways we're the same, which is still so hilarious.
It really is. It really is. It's just, we kept that whole week, we kept going, oh my gosh, me too. Oh my gosh. And you know what the other one was? That was when I had my hand surgery. And so you wanted to see, you're like, let me see. I want to see the wound and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I love that stuff too. So that just came to me just a few minutes ago. I was like, oh yeah, that was one other thing we found. We love.
That's right.
We bring it on. We want to see that stuff, the gory stuff.
It's like, let me see, let me see.
No,
I took some pictures of the gross stuff from my surgery because I knew my nursing friends would want to see.
exactly. I think you sent them. Didn't you send some to me?
Yeah, I think I sent them to you. Yeah.
That was so funny. Well, you know what? Backing up in that verse that you said, I think the key, well, there are so many key points in that one verse, but one of the key points I believe is it's not, and you'll have to read it back to me again. I'm really bad with remembering scripture, but it's not as the world sees it. We have to remember that the peace that God gives, we have this idea of peace and joy and happiness, and we feel like on this earth, if this is what we're going to experience, then that means we're not going to have any trouble. And that's not at all the way it is. You know that, I know that, our listeners know that, but God gives us a peace that, and quoting scripture, transcends all understanding, but those
Definitely.
just trite words. And that's what I love about you is you shout for God, even in the hard times, because even then he is still good, but it's not what so much of us want, and I guess what we expect, like, okay, if God's going to give us peace, we're not going to, we're going to sail through everything and everything is going to be good. No, it's not. And I think that's so important in that verse. Would you agree?
I would agree. And not so much that it's not good, it's not easy.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Because it will all work together for good.
It does. You know, he
but it's not easy.
No, it's not. It's not. But he never wastes our pain. And that has, now we may not see it for a while. And in all honesty, we may never see that, the outcome of him not wasting our pain, because we don't know. For instance, as an example, in this show today, we don't know how many people you're going to encourage, how many people who are going to benefit from hearing your story, your testimony, your journey, and how good how good God still is in it. We may never know their stories, but again, he doesn't waste it, and he uses it. And I know you don't think of it as something trite. I certainly don't think of it as something trite, as just a flippant answer, and he's going to give you peace, and all that. We believe that because we've experienced it, and we've been through that, and we've been through the times when we have learned that we don't know God is all we need until God is all we have. And that's how, when you go through times like this, wisdom is costly. And in these times, that's when we can say, yeah, but God, like you were saying, but God. Yeah.
But, sure. And to think that being off on sick leave, not allowed to congregate with anybody, how horrible is that? Yet I felt it's been a precious time. It's been a time when nobody's pulling on me this way and that way. Come to work. Can you do this? Well, except my mother, but that's a completely different story. But otherwise, I'm just allowed to be. And in our society, that is something that is not looked upon as something precious. I have so enjoyed my time off by myself, just sitting alone in my house, not necessarily doing anything or accomplishing anything, but being. Mm-hmm. And it's okay. And it's not just okay, it's precious. Good. I am sad to be both happy and sad to be going back to work because I've missed my clients. Yeah. But the fatigue from the radiation has made it so I'm not physically able to do much. Yeah. So I don't know how to say it. It's a treat. I don't want to go back to work because I'm enjoying my sick time too much. How can you wrap your head around that? Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. I really do. It's funny, my husband and I, one of the things that he gets, that he is concerned about, and occasionally we'll talk about that, but with me being at home, he said, you're not out and you're not about and connecting with people. And I said, well, I do connect with people. Like, for instance, I'm here, which I'm so grateful for these opportunities to, and look at how God lines everything up, to get this podcast going and all of that. So I'm still connecting with people. But yeah, I've learned to really cherish this time of being right here, right now in the present, because I think in our society, we all do, you get out there and the hustle and bustle of life and the chaos of life, and not that chaos doesn't come to you, in your own home, but clearly, but yeah, it really is. It feels good to just sit and be in the present, for sure. So tell me, I want to, what advice would you give to the loved one? So you've been going through all of this. What are some things that you can give or tell our listeners, or some advice that you can give our listeners that, if they have a loved one going through a difficult time, what can we do to help our loved ones through this? I think the thing that got me through the most was the prayers. Yeah. And again, it sounds trite, but when I didn't tell anybody, I was super anxious. I was going crazy with anxiety. And then I told people, and right away, that anxiety left. Yeah. So the prayers, I felt the prayers.
Yeah.
And then just be there for whatever they need. I have a sister-in-law who has blessed my socks off.
Mm.
She cooked meals for me.
Mhm.
She helps get me motivated. So if I need to clean up the house a little bit, she'll come over and she'll vacuum and I'll be putting away all the stuff. And she'll do the big things that anybody can do.
Yeah.
And then again, I mentioned already, she cooked me meals and more meals and more meals, and
Mhm.
she'd do whatever I needed. And my parents were always there and always willing. And I mean, you couldn't go over to people's houses
Mhm.
for dinner,
Right.
but it was a big help.
Yeah.
And just knowing that people were there that I could call on,
Mhm.
friends and family. I have a great support system that I'm incredibly thankful for.
Mhm.
My nurse practitioner and I get on really great. She's been a major blessing because she trusts me. She trusts what I feel, which is really important. I feel that I've got the medical support as well as the spiritual
Yeah.
and physical support.
Yeah.
So I am blessed.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it's funny you say that, and I wrote it down actually from when you were saying it earlier, having people pray for you and, actually telling, and I love how you've shown and the difference between, keeping it inside and actually letting people know so that people can come alongside and pray with you and be there for you. And I don't know what it is that we have gotten to this point where we want to keep everything secret. It's like we don't want anyone to know anything that's going on. But when we let them know, they can come alongside us and help us through these things. And I think it's just there's so I feel like, and you tell me if you think this too, but I feel like a lot of it is shame and guilt, which we know does not come from God. Shame and guilt come directly from the enemy. But I think and he knows how to work his way in those little cracks and crevices of ours. But I think when we're feeling that shame and guilt, we think, oh, we don't want anyone, not that there's, and forgive me, not that there's any shame or guilt about an illness. I don't mean that, or cancer, or, any of that. But I think it starts, I feel like that's where it started, is we've got to keep it all to ourselves and keep the bad things, here in the house and not let anyone know, when no, that's not how God, that's not how he created us. It wasn't what he planned for us. He gave us each other to help us through. And yeah, so I'm so glad you shared that. And would you agree? I mean, what do you think it is like that you feel like we've
I definitely agree. I think that it's a big part of independence. I can't let anybody see I'm weak.
Yes.
And remember the verse, in my weakness he is strong.
Yes. Yes.
I didn't want anybody to know I'm weak. People treat sick people different than they treat healthy people.
Yes.
And I've seen both sides.
Mhm.
And it's I'm looking for words right now. When people are always coming up to you, oh, are you okay? Oh, are you okay? Oh, are you okay? It's one thing. And then other than that, they never talk to you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But I really feel that the devil takes a foothold in our lives by saying, they can't know that you're worse than them, you're bad. But in reality, each and every one of us is lost. Each and every one of us is weak. We're all dependent. We can't live alone.
Yep.
What has COVID proven to us? That we need the contact. We need people.
That's
and
right.
As good as technology is, it's not the same.
Yeah.
And if you don't reach out to people, you can't receive.
Yeah.
And it just comes to mind a lesson I learned a long time ago. If nobody receives, nobody can give. So the saying is, it's better to give than to receive, but it's a teeter-totter.
Yeah.
You can't have one without the other.
That's right.
So we all want to give, but somebody has to receive to make that giving So in saying that, it's the same with prayer. We have to give of ourselves, saying, I'm weak, I need help.
Mhm.
And it knocks down pride when you say, I need help.
Yeah. Yes.
It
Yeah.
knocks it right on its backside.
Yeah.
And when you let people help you, pride is really upset. It doesn't want it.
Yep.
So it's not easy, but it does get easier to ask for help and to accept it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's like stretching that fear muscle. It's
Mhm.
the same thing, stretching that, or not stretching the pride muscle, because we don't want to strengthen that pride muscle at all. But there is so much pride in it. That was perfect. I'm so glad you said that, because yeah, it's that pride thing that, oh, we can do this on our own. People, we don't need other people. And no, that's not what God planned for us at all. And like you said, Satan will take a foothold on that, any of those feelings that are against what God intended for us. And he's going to really run with that. So yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, my gosh, friend, it is so good to see you here. I need to do another, well, we don't even have to do a challenge. We can just meet on Zoom periodically.
That
I would
works
love
for me.
that. I would love that. So, yeah, but thank you so much for taking time out of your day and meeting with us, and just coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And I just, the more I've gotten to know you, I just really felt that check in my spirit, like Joanne needs to come on the show. I kept feeling God nudging me, you need to get Joanne on. She's got a beautiful testimony of God's just incredible glory. So, and your story is definitely the epitome of a faithful God. All these awful, hard, messy things have gone on, but God is still there. God doesn't change.
So good.
He's still the same in good times and in bad times. And you are such a light for Jesus. And it is so apparent in your story and in your journey and just in the way you walk out life. So I want to thank you for that, for being such a great beacon for Jesus.
Thank you, Tim.
Absolutely. Well, friend, and we are going to, as a community, we are going to pray for you, lift you up in prayers that this is gone, it is gone and it stays away. We don't want any more of that. And just to give you some peace and some good
energy.
Yes, energy. We will pray for that for you. So community, you hear that? Let's pray for Joanne and pray for some energy for her to get her strength back. So yeah. Well, Joanne, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Tammy. It's been a privilege.
Absolutely.